For all your Prius freaks out there like me, we got the brand new 2023 Prius, the 5th gen, and we're gonna compare it today to my beloved and aging like a fine wine 2012 Toyota Prius, 3rd gen versus 5th gen, interior, exterior, driving impressions, and most importantly, fuel economy. Let's go. Honestly, this 5th generation is a true successor finally to my 3rd gen. The 3rd gen Prius, in my opinion, was by far the best looking Prius generation. The 4th gen that came out after this from about 2016 to 2022 just was not the same sort of beautiful car and beautiful shape. The A-pillar on this feels like it finally has a true successor of an A-pillar right here. So very aggressive roof lines, very cute little hatchback cars, and I can't say the same necessarily about the 4th generation. I love the headlights here on my 3rd gen, and look what they did. Well, they gave it the hammerhead grille treatment and headlight design, and it looks amazing. Unfortunately, here in North America, we can't get rid of this license plate. In Japan, that front bumper, I don't believe is styled like that. So you can't get rid of that block here in North America. Now, I understand why it's there because most states require a front plate, but that is going to really diminish the car's aesthetics, absolutely. Now, look what we come from in the wheel designs. This is just silly. We have a Prius 4 here. The top line of the year was Prius 5. I upgraded the brakes fairly recently. They didn't need to be changed, but I thought I was curious to see how much brake pad. And after about 65,000 miles on this guy, the brakes looked brand new when I took them apart. When I got new tires, I upgraded the brakes when I got new tires. The tires were about 8 years old. 15-inch wheels, 19-inch wheels. And these are going to suck fuel economy from you, absolutely, but they make the car look incredible. The base LE grade will give you 17-inch wheels and tires, and that will give you great fuel economy. We'll talk about fuel economy at the end with this guy, but yeah, wait for my nighttime review. I will review the new Prius at night, but this is kind of like a mini daytime efficiency review. And I know a lot of you guys have questions about this, and I'll answer them in a separate video. I gotta turn on the lights here so you can appreciate the rear light bar here. Unlike any Prius before it, it's gorgeous. You can hear mine. Mine just fired up. Both of the cars are on. The older generation struggled to keep the cabin cool on the battery. The nickel metal hydride battery isn't as efficient as these lithium ion batteries at air conditioning. Anyways, Prius across the back, hybrid logo right here. This is a limited grade, this is the top grade. Oh, and I want to show you pricing between the two. How has that jumped over the years? This limited comes in at $37,494 after destination. Keep in mind, this is by far the most expensive Prius grade you can get. That's not a Prime. A Prime is going to be much more expensive. How much is my old Prius? What was the sticker price on this? Ooh, I didn't park that right. Let's not hit that and scuff the door. Do I still have my Monroney sticker? I think I do. I feel like this is my parents' cache up here with their religious stuff. I haven't even opened that in a long time. I actually don't see my sticker in here. It doesn't mean it's not. I just haven't been in here in years. You know, I do have a DVD though. Take that, new Prius that has no optical disc drive. I have a DVD player in here. I didn't even know that was actually in here, but I can't find the Monroney. Doesn't mean, like I said, it's not in here, but I'll put on the screen roughly what it was when this car was brand new, but we'll get into that interior here in a little bit. And let's get on the inside. Now, I like this light interior. It's gray, kind of unlike mine, which is kind of like an ugly beige, but it's better than black down here in Florida where it's super hot. Materials here are much better than mine. They're not fantastic by any means, but they're definitely a lot better than mine throughout the cabin. Instead of a head-up display like in my car, you have this digital MID, and it works pretty well. It's just kind of small. I wish it was bigger, to be honest. You can make this screen a little bit bigger when you get rid of the information, but when you're in a fuel economy car like this, you kind of want to have your metrics, and I slide between that screen as well as the energy monitor. Of course, now you have fancy things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, ambient lighting. You have ventilated seats now, which work pretty well. Stay tuned for my heated seat impressions. The heated steering wheel, by the way, though, is amazing. Heats all the way around. Very, very impressed. But yeah, I like the climate control settings. It's really, really intuitive, simple, minimal, clean looking. USB-Cs everywhere in here. Pretty functional cup holder area. You can also have some hidden stuff underneath of that. This is the new shifter. Instead of it being kind of in this area, it's over here, so hand can rest on it. Wireless charger right there. Typical, you know, Toyota stuff at this point, different driving modes, which is kind of fun, I guess, on a Prius. 2 USB-Cs. Oh my God, those dogs are huge. Did you see them? They look like horses. I know you guys are looking at the GTR, but I'm looking at those dogs. Holy cow, what in the world? Oh my gosh, those are like the Marmaduke dogs. All right, yeah, the seats are pretty good here, very big. They're not the most, let's say, sporty, which is fine. This isn't that sporty of a vehicle. We have dual sunroof on here, which are both manual. I can still reach this from my seating position. It's just, you know, it's more for the kids back there. Digital rearview mirror, and you're gonna need it. Maybe, depends on what you can tolerate, because looking out of that back window is really difficult. It's no longer 2 panes, it's just a single pane. Now it's more usable than, let's say, the Volvo C40 Recharge, which was a completely unusable rear window. This one is actually functional. I just don't have a lot to view from back there. It's kind of looking through a telescope almost. So the new steering wheel is also great. Now some people are saying, hey, does it block your view? I've never had the steering wheel block my view. My eyes, the camera's kind of lined up pretty well with my eyes and how I see it right now, maybe even a little bit higher is my head. So the steering wheel never comes into view. Even with my hand on top here, I can still see how fast I'm going. All right, well, memory seats, that's kind of a Prius feature for a few years now. And getting into the back seat, look where the door handles are. No, we don't have normal door handles. They're hidden in the C-pillar area. It's been a great car for my kids to sit back here, taking them to school. Lots of space between the seats. Again, additional USB-Cs back there. Heated rear seats, which my car could only dream of. Only one mat pocket. What's up with that, Toyota? Cost cutting there. And, you know, for me at 6'1", good legroom. And even though we have that aggressive roof, my head's still not touching. They kind of carved this out right here. And despite it having a really, you know, questionable glass here, the 2 sunroofs that don't move, they don't open, by the way. Yeah, I still have headroom, which is great. So let's go ahead and compare the cargo, because we're gonna go from cargo to cargo here. And I haven't cleaned out the back of my Prius. This is a straight real world comparison. And yeah, here's the back of mine. I'll put the cargo, what this is listed at, and I'll put the cargo at what this one is listed at. This one seems smaller, but honestly, most people are not going to notice the difference. If I lift this up, there's some additional storage, which is kind of nice, I guess. I think mine has some additional storage too. Here's the tonneau cover. And you can also fold down the seats, which I'll talk about in a different video. What's in here? Is this the battery? It's probably the battery. My 12-volt battery is in the back there, kind of hidden under the floor. So let's go ahead and close this. Automated liftgate is something my Prius could only dream of. And yeah, there's just a little bit, and the floor seems a bit higher here too. The load floor seems a bit higher, but it seems pretty comparable. I feel like I have more space in this area compared to the new Prius. So let me show you my old Prius on the inside, and then once I do that, I'll get under the hood and we'll compare and then start driving these fuel efficiency beasts. This is a unique build. You don't see too many of them. This is a Prius 4 with the head-up display. It also has, let's see here, a sunroof. Oh, but it has the solar roof as well. The new Prius Prime can have a solar roof, which will charge the plug-in battery. Check this cool trick out. I have the DVD player, which opens up and slides. Pretty neat. So optical disc fans out there are gonna be pretty happy about that. Climate control here, I love it. It's just as functional as that climate control. Just all these buttons here is not as pretty. However, the volume knob is in a perfect spot. In the other Prius, the volume knob is on the other end of the screen. It's literally similar to where it would be if I was another Prius. It'd be like right here. So I have to get out of my seat just a little bit to reach it. It's the most strange decision engineering wise to just tack on a volume knob as far away from the driver as possible. I absolutely don't get it. Yeah, so you can play with the volume on the steering wheel over there like you can over here, but on this one you can actually adjust the temperature. How about that? Now I do need to change the oil on here. That's why it's saying maintenance required. I hardly drive this thing thanks to getting press cars like the Prius and the GTR. But yeah, I have a hologram, which I'm not sure is going to show up on the screen because like this does not show up in cameras. It shows up to the naked eye, but I can't get it to show up in any of my cameras. So yes, the overlay here is quite awesome. It even shows like where my thumb is. You just hover over it, you don't have to press it, and it'll show up in that hologram-like display. So pretty next level technology. The heated seats in here are out of this world, by the way. They're just in the strangest location. I like having this underfloor storage. Cup holders are in a good spot, I would say. However, it's just kind of like this one's a good one. This one's not. It's just a little bit too far back. Then if you have a cup in here, you can't rest your arm. It's a little awkward. My kids got paint on here a few years back and I just haven't washed it off. And this is pretty deep here. And guess what? I didn't even know this, guys. There's a USB port in there. I had no idea. There's a 12 volt down there as well and an aux. I never get into that armrest. So, like I said, double glove box. It's just the materials in here are sorry my language, they are terrible. It's all hard. You just hear my knee pressing into this. All the padding is essentially gone on this armrest. It's bad. I mean, this one's, it's still hard, but like materials in here is just, everything's plastic, and that drives me crazy. Being in the new Prius is literally being like in a luxury car from a material standpoint. I feel like build quality is the same. The cars feel so well built. They're both, of course, built in Japan. And let me get in the back seat here of my dirty Prius. Baby Abe, he got taken back from the hospital in the Prius from his birth. So this is in here for him. And I'm not going to sit back here, but I have a little bit more room overall, I would say, in here. The floor is flat. Do you notice that? Pretty much flat. Where in the other Prius, it's not. There's more of a hump, I think, if I remember right. Cup holders right there. I've taken all the headrests out because you don't need it for a rear-facing seat. And yeah, auto down, and look at the skid plate. I didn't even know. I open these doors all the time, but I'm not focused on the skid plates. I'm focused on my kids. So yes, love the Prius. Well, let's go ahead and get under the hoods because that's one of the big differences with this generation. Finally, both of these hoods are very, very light. I wouldn't be surprised if they're both aluminum to keep the weight down. Hybrid reborn Prius here, a little attention to detail. It's kind of an ugly Indian bay compared to mine over there. This is the 2-liter. I think Dynamic Force is the technology of engines. M20A, if I remember correctly, FXS setup. New 5th gen hybrid. This one is rated at 52 miles per gallon. We'll put that to the test today. And yeah, it's got 194 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. It's fantastic. Very smooth, very powerful. The upgrade, the Prius is needed. Of course, it still has an eCVT. You can get it in all-wheel drive. Look how nice this still looks after over 10 years. You know, this is 2012. We have a nice, I don't know, plastic cover here. Hybrid Synergy drive. Toyota doesn't even call it the HSD anymore. And yeah, this is an older 1.8 liter. Of course, we still have eCVT here. I want to say this was rated around 52 to 55 miles per gallon in 2012. We'll put that to the test today. And unfortunately doesn't have the massive horsepower that does, only 123 horsepower if I remember correctly. This will do 0 to 60 in about a whopping 10 seconds. You guys probably want to hear the new chime. Old chime that's in pretty much every Toyota and Lexus for the last 20 years. New piano chime. Now, the piano chime is pretty cool, but that one, even though it's a bit cringy, it is way easier to hear than the cool piano chime. Let me know which one you would be taking. In the 2012 Prius, just started up, filled up the tank. The last 770 miles, it's been logging 49 miles per gallon. We're gonna zero out that trip meter. I haven't reset that bad boy in a long time. And let's get off to the races here. And the new, well, the old Prius versus the new Prius. I'll talk first about my driving impressions, and then I will do a little time lapse for you guys, then refill up after I do my quick jaunt. Driving the old Prius is like wearing an old glove or an old catcher's mitt or something like that. If you're into baseball, it just feels so comfortable for me. And in fact, I prefer driving my old Prius over a lot of new press cars. I don't have to think when I get in here. I know exactly what I'm gonna get. I know all the behaviors of the car. There's nothing in here that really annoys me, and if it did at one point in time, it doesn't anymore. Now, with that being said, in terms of like rattles and things, it's got only 64,000 miles on it, and I do hear periodic high tinny rattles from time to time. Sometimes it's coming from up here on the dash, sometimes it's over here, and sometimes it's back there. There's no rhyme or reason to it. The one up by the speaker in the front, the speaker grill area is the most common, therefore it's the most annoying, but that's me like splitting hairs because I love driving the Prius. Now, it's not a perfect car, don't get me wrong. It's just familiar, it's easy and predictable, and I don't have to think. So, get into the brakes. The brakes are awful in this vehicle. Not that it's an awful stopping car. The brakes here just, it's like a plague with Toyota's, I don't know, second and third gen hybrid cars, is that the regen brakes are the first half of the pedal and it's like a big squish sponge sort of feeling, and then you get into the friction brakes. Now it's a seamless transition between the two, but the brake feels not good. But propulsion, you know, even though it's much slower than the new Prius, a little bit louder, I would say, with the 1.8 engine here. It's still buttery smooth, and it does like running in fully electric mode when it can. I have about 75% of the battery topped out, and if I go to coasting, right, because we're gonna be braking here, with this much battery, it likes being in electric mode. Now, one of the big differences with the electrification here is not only does it give as much electric juice as the new ones with the 200 horse or roughly 200 horse, right, and the lithium ion batteries. This is a nickel metal hydride battery, and it's still working great here after about 10 years, 12 years of usage off and on, right? Only at 64,000 miles, so you could say that battery's still getting broken in. But I think time affects these batteries, and maybe really extreme weather affects these nickel metal hydride batteries more than actual usage. Let's see here. I have no blind spot monitor on here. Now that was probably available on the Prius 5 at the time. This is a Prius 4. I've already showed you guys the differences between this and the brand new limited model. I still have cruise control on here. I have a head-up display, which is really, really convenient when I'm out on the highway. And in my driving impressions with this car as well as the new car, I'm gonna try to just keep up with traffic. I'm gonna go, well, I better turn the climate control on. Just 1 bar here to 72 degrees. I'm gonna keep it on recirculation, make sure AC is on. And it's 64 degrees outside, but with the sun hitting the glass in here, it will get pretty hot eventually. So just gonna keep that AC going. And I want to mention the heated seat in here is from a different era, meaning it's really good. The heated seat on here I have to turn off, even if it's cold out, I have to turn off after just a little bit because the bottom cushion becomes a hot plate. In the new Prius, you put it on 3 bars because that's 3 different settings for heated seats. You put it on the highest setting, you don't even feel it. It's a completely worthless heated seat, and it's not just for the driver. I tested it in the passenger. It's the same. I haven't tested the heated seats on the Prius in the back. Maybe I'll do that, but it is just not. The new Prius heated seats are a joke. The ventilated seats actually work better, and that's not saying much. But I don't have ventilated seats on here. I just have the new Lux seats that are not perforated, which they do get kind of sticky in the summer. But the AC works amazing in here, so that's never the issue. I'm gonna go about 75 miles an hour here on the highway, and I'll do that same speed with the new Prius as well. It's loud on the highway. Lots of road noise. I get more of those vibrations coming in around the speaker grill, somewhere around the back seat area as well, kind of that tinny noise, high pitched, really annoying. If you have the radio on, you're not going to notice it, but I notice myself talking a lot louder here now that I'm on the highway. There's quite a bit of traffic here on the interstate this morning. I'm still going to try to do my 75 miles an hour, which we'll do our best. And I'm taking this to the cell phone lot at my airport. I think that's a good test because I run this all the time in this car. Going to the airport, this is a car I take when I go on my trips, my press trips to drive new cars or to preview new cars for you guys. So this is my workhorse, absolutely, especially over slightly longer trips. It takes me about half an hour from my house to get to the airport, and it's mostly interstate driving like we're doing right now. And then once we get back from the cell phone lot, it'll be more of a mild drive in town mix with lower speed highway, maybe around 55, mixed with stop and go city traffic as well. So I'll try to give you guys a very mixed driving percentage here so I can give you a mixed miles per gallon, which I think is going to be most realistic for most people out there. And before we get into time lapse, the handling in here. Well, the steering is fantastic. I actually prefer the steering feel here compared to the new Prius. It's really heavy. And the handling in here is not good though. When you throw it in the turns, it kind of just bogs down and it feels really heavy in the turns, not just due to the steering, but like the vehicle just doesn't want to turn, and you have a lot of body roll with this Prius in the turns. It's not terrible, but it's completely night and day compared to the new one. All right, so I better cut myself off and get into the time lapse of these driving impressions. Sitting here at the light, yeah, it's great that the engine's off. I don't have auto brake hold. I just have the traditional manual parking brake pedal over here on the left, and that would be something I really would like to have on this car. Of course, the new Prius has it. I also wanted to share, the clock is reading 49 miles per gallon, and of course we'll fill up when we get back with our full trip, but at least on highway 70 to 75 mile an hour driving, it's averaging about 49 miles per gallon. Happy to get out of traffic now. I'm happy to finally calculate our MPGs right here. So we got 45 miles. That was GPS. The odometer says 45.9. Let's just say 45.5. It's close enough. Divided by 0.85 gallons. 0.85 gallons gets us 53.5 miles per gallon. And my clock says 53.8, extremely accurate. I don't think I've seen it that accurate before. Maybe it's because the temperatures are right, the conditions are right, but yeah, 53.5 miles per gallon. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot that, and let's go ahead and get into the new Prius. And man, I'm not looking forward to it, not because I don't like the car, I love the car. Traffic sucks. We just filled up the new Prius, getting things started off here. Now, preliminary, I didn't fill it up to begin with. Previously, that was the press company. But since then, I put 73 miles on there. And we're gonna divide that by 1.573. But this is 46.6. That's not gonna be accurate because I don't know how long this car was driven before it got to my house. So it's only going to go up from 46, and I have a feeling it's going to beat that 53.5 that we saw on my 2012 Prius. With that being said, definitely stay to the end of this long time lapse before I can tell you for sure what the official MPGs is going to be. Let's put it into drive, and let's go ahead and talk about the new Prius and what it's like to drive. Yeah, it's smoother. The ride quality is a lot better in here, even with these massive, I think these are 19-inch wheels. The steering, yes, it's not as heavy, but it's definitely more accurate, and the vehicle feels a lot lighter. And with this new Prius, I can just easily pull out in front of traffic and do half pedal throttle. And a half pedal throttle, I would say, is equivalent to full pedal throttle on my old Prius. It's incredible how much more power you have here. 7 seconds 0 to 60 compared to a 10-second 0 to 60. And I'm gonna leave this energy monitor up for you guys. And there, I wanna talk about the electrification here. Of course, you have a lot more electrified horsepower coming from the dual motor setup. Now this can be had with tri-motor setup, so you have all-wheel drive to the back. It adds 2 horsepower. It's gonna add a little bit of weight. Your acceleration in my testing is not any different. It's virtually identical between all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive, assuming you have enough dry conditions for the front wheels. Anyways, with that aside, this vehicle does like to be in electric mode at much higher speeds, and we'll find that out probably when we're on the highway. But my Prius generation, the most they can muster going fully electric was 45 miles an hour. I'm not saying accelerate up to 45 miles an hour in electric. This vehicle, it could do it, but there has to be no traffic downhill, like going really slow. What I'm saying is, if you're coasting or coming to a stop from a high speed, it can go into electric, let's say 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. My old Prius, it will not touch electric mode until it's 45 miles an hour and below. So there's already that big efficiency gain with this newer hybrid system. Also, the regen braking is going to be much more efficient. I talked about how bad there's the 4th gen Prius, and the brakes are a little bit better there, but they're even better here. The brake feel in here, I think, is quite good. It feels like a really well-tuned brake pedal, and better than even some of Toyota's non-hybrids. So they got the brake feel figured out now. They got the steering. It feels like a sports car now, and that's the thing. This Prius doesn't, other than the looks, it does, you know, look, as we did our walk around, there are a lot of styling similarities between the 3rd gen and the 5th gen, not so much the 4th gen. But yeah, from the inside too, like, it feels like I'm driving just a sharper Prius. From the driving mechanics, the extra horsepower, the more aggressive roofline, yes, it does cut into my visibility just a little bit more, but honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. In fact, I feel like I have better visibility around the bottom, underneath the A-pillar, I should say. So yes, the windows are a little bit smaller when I look out to the side, and to the rear windows are definitely smaller, but I don't feel like I have blind spots or anything. I don't feel like it's a safety issue. Do I feel like the roof is collapsing on me in comparison? I feel like my head's probably an inch or two closer to this area right here. And again, that doesn't bother me at 6'1", and the seat is so much lower than my Prius. It's probably a couple inches lower. We know the roof line is lower here compared to the older Priuses, but it still feels like a Prius in here, just like the ultimate version. The JBL sound system in here is good. There's not a lot of sound coming from the back. It definitely kind of has that sound bar experience where it's all coming from the front. I wouldn't say it's better than my sound system in my 2012 Prius, though. The JBL net is really good. So it's just kind of continuation of that really solid sound system here. The controls, guys, are so much better in here than in my Prius. Yes, I had more buttons in there, but so much of them were completely wasted and were just taking up a lot of space. I like how, even though I don't have that underfloor storage or under console storage, I have more usable storage. I feel like the armrest area, which I do have a good amount of storage in here, that's where the cup holders were, and so your arm was always in this awkward space. Now the cup is in front of the shifter, which the shifter kind of gets in front of and kind of in the way of, but honestly, it's still better than the cup holder situation of my Prius. And I also have the amazing amenities of USB-Cs. 6 of them in here, to be honest, is complete overkill. I don't know why Toyota thought you needed 6 USB-Cs in this tiny car. But maybe if you plan on living out of it, you could take advantage of those USB-Cs. Yeah, I mean, the steering in here is absolutely night and day compared to my Prius. I do feel it's like just a hair quieter, but we'll find out when we get on the freeway. Ride quality, like I said, is better even with these massive wheels. I can't imagine how much better it would be with the like 17-inch wheels. We're just going to throw this in the turn. This is something I wouldn't ever dare to do in my Prius. It just feels so much lighter and happier to turn. It feels, I mean, not nearly as good as like a Honda Civic Si, but the powertrain in here feels more sporty than a Honda Civic Si. It's not as fun rowing your gears, but you have your fun of, you know, maximizing your fuel economy. You have that instant response of that eCVT. There's a little delay, but if I was in sport mode, it wouldn't be there, which, unless I'm just doing 0 to 60s, I'm never going to be in that sport mode here on this Prius, just like I'm never in the power mode on my Prius, or the eco mode. I don't like the eco mode in either of them either, because it's too dulled down. Yep, lots of road noise, lots of tire noise. I would say with that big truck going by, it's about the same in here. I'm only going 50. I need to get up to 70 to kind of tell, because I felt like I was speaking really loudly when I was going 70. Oh my gosh, I'm just accelerating on the freeways, just instant and far quicker here. I don't have to plan my passes like I do in my 2012 Prius. Like, it's just instant power and you're just up to traffic speed, or where the speed you want to be, very, very quickly. Very impressive. And we're gonna get to, if traffic allows it, yeah, that's awesome. If traffic allows it, now I'm getting to the brakes, right? Traffic is just, it's a necessity in our modern world with everyone driving everywhere, but no one likes it. Anyways, I'm trying to get up to 75 miles an hour, but I feel like it's just a hair quieter in here than my Prius. The road noise, now that I'm driving a little bit faster, it seems to have actually been drowned out, so I don't know if they have some active road or noise canceling in here, because I don't feel like I'm yelling as much as I was in my old Prius. But yeah, it's fantastic in here. So I'm just going to enjoy this drive a little bit more. Yes, I love my old Prius just because I don't have to think when I get in it, and this has a similar mentality to it. It's just, the seats are more comfortable, the material's more comfortable. I have the ventilation on here, which works just enough, where the heated seats, like I said, don't work at all in here, even when they're at full tilt. Okay, and I'm going 78, 79 in here. My Prius would be screaming right now. So I need to taper it down to 75 for the sake of getting things as similar as possible. Ooh, then I hit a rock. Yikes. Luckily this thing is, you know, semi spinning off rocks. Luckily the windshield in here is raked so aggressively. I don't think you'll be hitting a lot of cracks in your windshield, even though I have in my Prius, and that has a really aggressive windshield as well. So, all right, with that being said, there's 75. Cruise control isn't as easy to get to in here, I would say, compared to my Prius with the stock that hangs off the bottom. You don't have to look around. I feel like you have to look a little bit more here. And yes, you have radar cruise control, modern radar cruise control. My generation had cruise control with radar capabilities if you got the Prius 5, but those old cruise control systems with the radar weren't very good. The new ones are absolutely fantastic. All right, so we traveled, according to the clock, 44.3 miles. We're going to divide that by 0.915, and that is saying only 47 miles per gallon. It was the same pump and everything. Am I only getting 47 miles per gallon on the new Prius, and my old Prius was getting 53? I don't know what other factors could add up to that. Being that big of a difference. Now, there were times where I was going a little bit quicker in this car to pass people just because I have that reserve, but I feel like it's just a pretty real world answer here. 47.3 miles per gallon compared to 53.5 of the old Prius. It's hard to believe because the clock is saying 62.2. The clock is saying 62.2 miles per gallon. So I don't know. I feel like it was more than 47 miles per gallon, but you know, maybe there's something I'm not accounting for. So I'll see you guys down below. Do you think the new Prius is amazing for what it is now? It's no longer just a fuel miser's car with great cargo. Doesn't have as good cargo anymore, it has killer looks. It drives great, it rides great, it handles great. It is quick now, it's got modern tech. Not that the old one didn't, it's just more modern now. So the Prius, in my opinion, is appealing to a different crowd in some ways than before. I feel like the new Corolla hybrid appeals to the once Prius crowd, or the once Prius crowd has already moved on to something else, like let's say a Tesla Model 3 or something like that. It's hard for me to believe that the clock would be that far off. 62 miles per gallon, and I got 47. So maybe I did, I'll check my math when I get home, but that just sounds so far apart. 15 mile per gallon difference just sounds ridiculous. Anyways, if fuel economy is all you care about, maybe you get the Prime, but again, that's gonna cost a lot more money than your average Prius. And if fuel economy is all you care about, get the normal Corolla hybrid, because that is significantly cheaper than this car, like more than $10,000 cheaper, and you're going to be getting similar fuel economy. So anyways, guys, I'll see you down below. Old Prius, the 2012 has held up quite well. You know, one factor that I didn't really talk about that could be the difference, and this is a great thing here, I can do a U-turn, assuming this van doesn't hold me up too much, hammer the gas, and get out in front of traffic. This is something I could never dream about in the old Prius, but I didn't do that in my miles per gallon testing, don't worry, that didn't happen, but just showing off what this car is actually capable of. Around 50 miles per gallon and great street level performance. Not gonna win any races, but at the street track, where we all have to drive, this is a fantastic daily driver. But the one thing that separates the driving here compared to the driving this morning, and this could be actually the factor. So I was driving in my Gen 3 Prius when it was 62 to 65 degrees, something like that. I think the hottest it got was maybe 67 when I was refueling. This has all been above 70 degrees. So I would say about 70 to, it's now 78 degrees. So I'd say around 75 degrees has been the average temperature. And that actually might be the difference maker. But I find it hard to believe because I'm not running the AC on more than one bar. It's just been one bar on both cars, and my ventilated seats are not going to kill the fuel economy like my numbers are suggesting. So anyways, I'll see you guys down below. You know, I thought I would have more answers at the end of this, and I feel like I still have questions about the new Prius's fuel economy after just driving it for an hour. Now, maybe you're saying, hey Kirk, you didn't drive it long enough, maybe you need to empty out the tank pretty much to get a better feel, because when you're only filling up less than a gallon, maybe there's some larger variance there compared to if you're filling up 8 gallons. And maybe that when you're topping it off to the 3 clicks that I do, there's less of a variance. So that could be a part of it as well. But anyways, I'll see you guys down below. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And signing out from the brand new sexy Prius.